Hi everyone, I can just see that there is a few people joining us, so I'm just going to give us a minute or two to let the attendees in, and then we'll get started. Okay, yeah, we have a few people joined us now. So welcome. My name is Laura Creevy. I work for the admissions office in Maynooth University. I'm joined by Professor Joseph Coughlin and Dr. Fergus Ryan today. So Professor Coughlin is the Deputy Head of the School of Business, and he will be taking us through the different offerings of the School of Business that might be of interest to you guys. Also, then we will have Dr. Fergus Ryan, and he's an associate professor in the School of Law and Criminology, and also taking us through the different offerings of that school. Okay, so lots of information, really delighted that you're here. We have a Q&A box, so please do send in your questions. We may have time for one or two questions in between the talks, but both of my colleagues will be answering the questions throughout each other's talks as well. So please do send them in, and we'll have a bit of time at the end to go through anything else. Okay, I'll just pass you over now to Professor Coughlin. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Laura, and welcome everybody. Thanks for taking the time to come to a talk on business and law and criminology at Maynooth. I'm going to just share a short presentation with you so that we can go through some slides. So as you're probably aware from looking at what we do in Maynooth, we've quite a lot of programs and so on with business, and business is included in many of our degrees. So what I want to do here is maybe give you a little bit of a whistle-stop tour through why you might study the different areas of business. And I realize you might have specific questions about specific programs, so that's fine. Feel free to answer or ask as many as you want. I'll try and cover as many of them during the presentation as possible. No question, and any question you post won't be seen by other people, so don't feel like you're asking a stupid question in front of other people. Only myself and Fergus and Laura will see them and we'll answer them. So there's no such thing as that. So feel free to ask any question that you feel might be relevant to your experience in Maynooth. So my name is Joe Coughlin. I'm Professor of Marketing and Deputy Head of School of the School of Business, and I'm here to talk about the general ideas about getting a career in business and what kind of business offerings are available to you in Maynooth, obviously and elsewhere as well, because business schools are across the country, but we have got some unique features that I think would be interesting to you, and a little bit about the different areas that we do might be more useful to you to help you make a decision as to what type of business program you're interested in. So first of all, I suppose the obvious question is, why would you study business in the first place? And why would business be a useful degree for you to do and to build a career with? Well, we would say, for example, that all organizations, be they public organizations, private organizations, or even SMEs or anything like that, or large organizations in different sectors, all raise, finance, and account for their income and expenditure. So they basically all have a financial remit. Many of you might work part-time, so you have to get paid, so you have to account for that, and there's tax implications and all that kind of stuff, which you're surely learning about. Secondly, almost every product and service we use, be that the jabs you might have got for immunization, the products that you're wearing, your phone or other device that you have, the food that you eat, that you use and you use every day, are delivered through business and promoted through marketing and organized through a management process of some kind. Studies have shown by the Higher Education Authority that business graduates are consistently among the most employable in Ireland. And Ireland is a very open, entrepreneurial country and very internationally focused. A lot of we export a lot of different things in different sectors, and we have a lot of imports from other countries. So many of you might have had, exotic fruits like bananas during the day. We don't grow bananas. We ripen them, we don't grow them. So, we have to manage these. So you might have noticed in that slide, if you've seen the slide, there's a lot of different colored words, and those colored words, which describe the world of business, are where the majority of our degrees fall. So what kind of degrees do we have? Well, the one thing I'd say at the top, we have a huge amount of choice. And compared to any other business school, we have, I would say, an unrivaled level of choice. And even within each degree, there's a lot of choice. So I don't plan to go through every single degree because, we probably have other things to do this evening, and we have to learn about law and criminology as well, which is really important. So If I start on the top right, we have business and management and marketing and international business, so and entrepreneurship, so which are kind of pure business degrees. So these 4 degrees we've had for quite a long time now, and these offer specialisms in these areas, but also our general business degree. So going across the bottom, we have our finance programs. So we have a quantitative finance program, which is more for the person who's very interested in mathematics and finance and computer science. We have a standard finance programs if you want to work in trading or in markets in that kind of area, or want to work in personal finance. We have then a finance and economics, which mixes that and has a year abroad or a placement as part of the program. We then have 2 accounting, 3 kind of accounting degrees on the left-hand side, as you see it, accounting and finance, business and accounting, combination of those. And we also have then a law and accounting and a law and business program. So this is with our colleagues in law, and Fergus will talk a little bit more about the other areas that law comes together with. And across the top then, we have a business and languages degree, which is new for us in 2022. So we expect to see our first students this September. And in that we offer, and I have a separate slide on that so we can give you a little bit more information about it. We offer the opportunity to study any one of 4 business subjects with any of the European languages that we study in Maynooth. And then finally, we have a business and global cultures, also new for 2022. And that particular degree involves looking at cultures through anthropology, and it's a half and half degree, again, with placement and all those sort of options that we also offer. In the middle there, we have arts. So the nice thing about the arts degree is that if you're not sure about which one of any of these degrees you want to do, you can do the arts degree for a year, and you can transfer into any one of the rest of them. So there's always another set of choices available, and business is available in the arts degree, and business is available with 20-something other subjects in the arts degree. So there's a significant amount of choice available there to you as well. So I think quite right to say there's unrivaled choice. Why business is what I said I'd start out with. So I've got 5 different sectors here. So first of all, on the top left, we have the manufacturing sector, which is an interesting sector, a traditional way that we work in Ireland, and one of the traditional industries we've had is the manufacturing industry. I think around different parts of electronics, mainly these days around medical devices, but obviously we produce food and we produce other things like that as well. What if you're interested in that industry and you don't want to maybe be an engineer, or maybe you don't want to be a food microbiologist or anything like that? Those people need management too. You need to manage processes. Secondly, we have medicine and those kind of sectors where a very attractive set of careers, but again, they need management. I think we've all probably seen in the media that the most highest paid people in the HSE is actually the manager of that particular group. But that's a good thing or bad thing is a different problem for another day. But we would have people who manage these kind of processes, manage lists, manage waiting, manage medical processes and devices, make sure that those doctors who are doing, surgeons who are doing amazing jobs, get the facilities they need to do the work they have to do. We also work with the tourism and aviation industry, not so much anymore, given the fact that that industry that was in a bit of free fall over COVID, but a lot better now and picking up again. So something that we definitely would be working with and we could have an opportunity to work in. We also work with the state, so semi-state and state bodies also employ some of our students and typically do from year to year. So Garda Síochána are a good example there, and we actually have a marketing graduate working on marketing with the Garda Síochána at the moment. And then finally sport, because it's not all about products, it's also about services, about leisure, and we have people who study these sort of areas as well and work in them. So I suppose the major point from this slide is to say, if there's an industry you have a passion about, whatever that industry may be, there's always a management or a marketing or international business or an entrepreneurship job in it, or even a finance or accounting job in it. So therefore, you can work in almost any industry that you wish to do so. So I want to go quickly through the kind of key areas that we teach. So first is management. So what is it? It's about organization. So it's about looking that the right pieces are in the right places at the right time. So if you think about, for example, you buy something on Amazon, or you buy something on Shein, or you buy something on any one of these sites, and you want to get it delivered to you. Well, if you think about that, product must be made, it must be packaged, it must be sent through a provider like DHL, UPS, or Post or someone like that. It's to get to your home. It's to get in good condition. It has to be returnable, for example, if it's the wrong size or the wrong type or whatever. So there's quite a lot of logistics and management within that. And that's something that we teach you how to do. We teach you about communication and leadership. We do a lot of that stuff in year 1 and all the way through. And we look at getting things, not just doing it yourself, through and with other people in groups. So a lot of soft skills, but also good processes to get things done. The second one that we do, and we have a major degree in this as well, it's my area, so I'm passionate about it, is marketing. So marketing is about the process of exchange, getting something for something that you, getting something new for something that you already have or you're willing to give up. So for example, many of you might have a Spotify account, and like many of us, you may not want to pay for it, so you have it free. So what do we give up? We give up our time to listen to ads. And we do that for a lot of online activities. So you might be on TikTok, you might be on Snapchat or whatever you're on. You might also have that idea that you see ads because that's what help pays for these free things. Also, our data is being used, which is also another issue that we'll talk about another day. So there's lots of examples in the media. You might remember, you might have had a Meteor phone, now it's an Air phone, if you're on a mobile network, and so on. And you also might, for example, be into sport. You might see, for example, that the GAA, the Gaelic Athletic Association, has branded with Central Super Value for tickets. You might also see that Lidl have branded with Ladies GAA, ladies football, and the Camogie Association and Common Insurance Company, of all things. So it's an interesting thing about how sports and marketing and these areas can come together, and there's lots of discussions and areas about that. International business is one of those subjects where people often say, well, I need a language to do international business. Well, it does help, but you don't have to. And my colleagues would define international business as business involving 2 or more countries or people or groups from different countries. So you can be in Ireland and do international business. So we have an international business degree without a language. We have an international business degree with a language. And both are quite popular. So we learn how to manage people and organizations in globalized and turbulent economies and societies. We learn to manage change. And we look at the importance of cultural differences. Ireland itself is much more culturally diverse than it used to be, which is a good thing. So therefore, we have, quite an interesting set of skills that we can use to enable us to work across different cultures, be that in Ireland or outside Ireland, selling into Ireland or selling into other countries, or marketing towards them or working in them. What's entrepreneurship? It's the activity of setting up a business. It's very basic. There's a picture there of someone you may recognize. The text is kind of small, but the picture should be legible. So this is Ms. Kylie Jenner, one of the famous Kardashian-Jenner clan, who was, according to Forbes, a major business magazine, one of America's billionaires. If you're interested in that particular area and her particular empire, which is mainly around lipstick and mainly lip gloss and other products like that, which I'm not a consumer of, but I know quite a bit about, unfortunately. That's an interesting story because when you delve down behind it, is she really a billionaire? And also, is it really feasible for your ordinary average person to get that far, given the fact that they're not on TV 24/7, as most of us would have seen her along the way. But one of the things that people think about entrepreneurship is that I have to set up my own business. You might be quite entrepreneurial and creative, but not want to set up your own business. Lots of big companies need entrepreneurs as well. They need big company, need people in companies to innovate and be different, to come up with new processes and new methods. And that's also innovation. And also, a more important thing perhaps for society is social entrepreneurship, whereby we look at changing society through innovative solutions. And this is a big element of what we do in Maynooth. We have a final year module on social entrepreneurship, and we look at solving social issues through coming up with new and good ideas and trying to implement them. So that's a really interesting way of applying entrepreneurship skills across industry. Finance is more technical, so it's a science, according to my colleagues, who describe the management creation study of money, banking, credit, investments, and liabilities. So it's kind of like follow the money, for want of a better term. There are other assets and liabilities in finance, things like that as well. So the finance is looking at kind of how you allocate money and various things over time. And it uses similar tools to the ones used by economists, but slightly different answers to the same thing, but very much a technical discipline. And it would be good if you had an interest in certain elements of mathematics to do this, not essential, but that you're interested in kind of basic finance stuff would definitely be a help, and the economy and what happens. Accounting is the last one of these I want to talk about. So in accounting, it's not just about balancing things that you might have learned in junior cert or leaving school or try that for leaving cert. It's about trying to provide a business solution. So it's business development, investment decisions, sourcing finance, how to manage a business, understanding financial products, and understanding economic development. So it's more than just kind of setting up a set of accounts. You do that as well, but it's more like being a business consultant. So it's a really interesting career. In fact, I'm currently a professor of marketing, but I used to be an accountant as well. So you can always do different things out of that. So in the business school, we're very proud of our professional links. We're linked with all the major accountancy bodies, all the tax institute, and all the major finance bodies, professional bodies. We're also a member of the Irish Management Consultants Association. Some of our degrees are also accredited by those. So therefore, if you are interested in accounting in particular, you can rest assured you're going to get the same professional exemptions as you would in any other university that's accredited by those people that do that. We also offer placement on nearly all our degrees. It's a big, we offer a placement for a year or for a shorter period than one of our degrees, but typically for a year. It's paid. I can't say it's 100% paid because some people opt to do unpaid ones, but you can opt to do a paid one. We help you find them. You go through an interview process, you go through all that process. So it's really important that you, if you're interested in it, you take an extra year, it becomes a 4-year degree, you get a BBA. You don't have to make a choice now. It's not mandatory. You make a choice in second year and you do a program and then you apply for placements. And we have quite a lot of students on placement this year, which is good. So we offer, this improves your employability significantly. And that would be really, really helpful to you. And it's offered on most of our degrees, but not all, just the nature of just the resources that we have to do that. So who have we got placements with? Enterprise Ireland, KPMG, Google, Kerry Foods, EY, Allianz, LinkedIn, Diageo, and a whole pile of other organizations, local and non-local, smaller and larger, would definitely be people that we work with. You can also study abroad. So you can study in one of our partner universities, be that in Europe through English or through the target language. So if you study French or German or Spanish with us, well then obviously you can study in France or Germany or Spain or South America for Spanish. But if you want to study abroad without a language, we have options in Europe through English. We also have options Eastern Europe, Northern Europe, most of the rest of Europe in fact. We have Korea, we have Australia, we have, and all of North America. That be that obviously USA and Canada. So they're all options. And in some cases, you can combine a placement abroad. It is possible, it's always possible, but it is possible. We do get some of those every year. Choice again is major in second year, very strongly recommended if you're studying a language. 2 new degrees, as I said, for 22. First of all, business and global cultures. This is MH404, it comes in on that particular route. You study either management, international business or marketing, plus in-depth study of cultures through our School of Anthropology in the university. You look at urbanization, role of technology, service innovation, security and cultures, and you either have a work placement or you're abroad in that as well. And then finally, our other new one for 22 is our business and languages degree. So therefore, we have accounting, international business, management, or marketing, 4 language pathways, which are French, German, Spanish, or Chinese. I will just, as a question just came up about studying Italian. Unfortunately, the university does not offer Italian as a foreign language in Maynooth. We offer French or Spanish or German or Chinese studies as beginners. So if your daughter studies Italian and wants to switch language, we can offer that. Romance languages would be definitely something that we do study, and you can do beginners in those ones. But we don't offer Italian, unfortunately. Marketing, we do offer with and without a language. Entrepreneurship, we don't offer with a language. So it's not possible to do accounting in French or accounting in Chinese, just the way that the system works in terms of options. We build in a year in international university, and we have beginners available in all languages that are listed there: French, German, Spanish, or Chinese studies. Okay, so summary of our degrees. So big long list of what seems like alphabet soup, but if you've looked at the CAO, you'll know that Maynooth is MH, and One tends to be our general degree, so 101 is arts, so we can do accounting, business, finance, obviously things like law, criminology, Fergus going to talk about as well. 401, 402, 403 are the more finance and accounting ones. 404 is our general business degree, including business and global cultures. Business and accounting is 407. 409 is our new business and languages, and within that you can just choose 409 and you come in and you decide what you want to do. 411 is entrepreneurship, and then 502 is law with accounting and law with business, which are available as well on these degrees. So what are you going to study? The first year tends to be a foundational skill. So if you're doing, for example, the general business and management or marketing or entrepreneurship degree, you'd study about humans, organizing people, like I said, about management, marketing, some economics and accounting. We assume that you've done none of those before, so we start from scratch. And business and its role in society. Any of our degrees, we assume that you haven't done it before, that you haven't done accounting before, economics before, or business before. So we assume nothing. You might have done for junior cert, but we don't require it for leaving cert. Second year, some functional skills a little bit more detailed. Third year, you might decide to study abroad or do a placement year. That's up to you. Or else you come back to final year where you study putting the strategic perspective and putting things together. So some standard questions. Do I need to study economics or accounting for leaving cert? No, not required at all. Do you have to be good at maths? We require an H7 or an O4 for most of our degrees. We do require a higher level for MH402 because it's quantitative finance and you study quite a lot of maths and computer science in your degree. So we require a higher level for that, which is a H5 or an O1. For arts, we don't have a minimum entry, but for the study of business, we kind of expect that you would have met the similar requirements to MH401 or MH404. Placements, we have a university placement office. We're very helpful and help you get placements, but we also help as well as academics, and you might even find your own, and that's perfectly acceptable as well. So we have this website, nuam.business, you can email us at business@mu.ie. This will be recorded, so it'll be available to you afterwards. You can watch it again or have any questions. And we have a lot of detail of all our modules on our university. Just a question come in there just in terms of maths required for business if you're non-Irish, and we probably need to look at it directly in terms of your direct situation, that question, and maybe you might contact our admissions office or the business school and let us know what you're currently doing. Typically we have equivalences and it depends on the individual school and level and all that kind of stuff. So normally if you've done a certain level of math in high school, you'd be absolutely fine. But it's just a little bit specific, but I'm quite happy to kind of deal with it separately along the way, Caitlin. So thanks very much for that question. So that's it from me. Happy to answer any more questions that you might have directly, or if there's any that Laura, you've picked up along the way or whatever, I'm happy to do as well. So I'm going to stop sharing and happy to answer anything that you might have and pass you over to Laura. Thanks, Laura.
Well, thank you. Dr. Fergus Ryan has kindly been answering the questions as we go along, so he's covered a lot of obviously what's there. So we might actually go along to Dr. Ryan now to actually present his, and then we can cover anything that comes in. So again, please do continue to send in your questions and we can get through them during the presentation and have some time for questions at the end as well. Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much, Laura, and very good evening to everybody, and thanks for coming along this evening. My name is Fergus Ryan from the School of Law and Criminology, and I'm going to be talking about law and criminology as subjects in Maynooth University. So you are all very welcome to the talk. I've just muted myself. The two subjects we offer in the School of Law and Criminology are law and criminology, as the name suggests. Law, you're probably familiar with the idea broadly of what law involves. Law is the study of the body of rules that are recognised as binding on people who constitute a community or state. And the key feature, I suppose, of these rules is that they are binding, they are imposed upon and can be enforced against individuals by appropriate sanctions. So you're familiar with the idea of a person committing a crime, being convicted of a crime, having a term of imprisonment imposed upon them and enforced then by the state. But study of law is not just about the study of those individual rules. that are binding. It's also the study of the system of rules and the systems under which such rules are made, the manner in which they are interpreted and applied, and the way in which they're enforced and implemented by the state. So we're talking about the study of binding rules and the study of, I suppose, a system that under which these rules are made, interpreted, and enforced. The study of law is very useful, certainly, in that it gives you a very keen insight into how societies are regulated and into how the legal system operates. And, you know, if we look at the news any evening, the law features very prominently in all sorts of areas in respect of all sorts of issues. For instance, whether or not the gathering in Downing Street was legal or illegal. You see certainly plenty of reports on crimes and criminality in the media as well. So it's law is something that touches all parts of our lives. Studying law, therefore, gives you a very keen insight into how societies operate and are regulated, but also the study of law helps to develop your ability to argue, to reason and persuade, and hopefully also to solve and indeed avoid problems. Law is very much about problem solving and indeed about avoiding problems arising in the first place. The study of law can also, help you in terms of developing valuable skills such as understanding the regulatory environment, developing the skill of advocacy, being able to argue on behalf of an individual, particularly a vulnerable individual. Studying law helps you to develop writing and research skills and skills of negotiation and persuasion to engage in reasoned argument. So even if you're not interested necessarily, or you're not sure about becoming a legal professional, there are all sorts of very useful skills that you can develop on a law degree. Criminology mightn't be quite as familiar as a concept. It's a very popular degree now at Maynooth University. We have the largest cohort of criminology students and indeed I think criminology staff in the state now. It's important to note what it isn't. It's not forensic science or forensic psychology. It's not CSI. Instead, criminology is a social science. It's very interesting, certainly. It involves the social scientific study of what is defined as a crime. So what gets to be labelled a crime and what other activity would not be labelled a crime. What happens to an individual who commits a crime, what are the causes and effects of crime. So in short, criminology is a study of the making of laws, the breaking of laws, and a society's reaction in particular to the breaking of laws. So how does conduct become defined as criminal? Why are there certain bad things that are deemed to be crimes and certain other things that aren't? What factors might propel a person to commit a crime or indeed dissuade them from engaging in crimes? And how should society best react when somebody breaches the rules? What's the most appropriate response? Criminology arguably will suit individuals who are interested in an evidence base for policy decisions. Criminologists, I think a good criminologist is a critical thinker who challenges populist ideas about crime and who avoids knee-jerk reactions. A good criminologist will look at the root of certain social problems, the underlying rather than immediate causes of crime. A good criminologist will be concerned with social structures and support for the vulnerable, and will be socially concerned and concerned in particular about the abuse of rights and inequality in society. There's lots of different, I suppose, types of law, and different types of law suit different personalities. But broadly speaking, if you are thinking about law, you're not quite sure if it's for you. It's a very good discipline for those who are interested in social justice and fairness and human rights. It's important that you have at least some interest in language and the use of language, in words and their impact, because very often the study of law is a study of the how words are used and the study of the meaning of words and sometimes the nuances of the meaning of words. there's a good bit of reading in university life generally, but certainly a lawyer will be somebody who enjoys reading a lot, maybe somebody who enjoys history, politics, language, current affairs, or the kind of areas that if you're interested in, that a law degree might suit you. But certainly I think one key point, a good lawyer it will be somebody who pays attention to detail, who's okay with paperwork, maybe not terrifically excited about, but is okay dealing with paperwork, and who's good at arguing and persuading, and who enjoys indeed arguing and persuading individuals. Now, why study law or criminology at Maynooth? Well, we're very sorry you can't be here this evening in Maynooth, but Maynooth is a lovely, vibrant, diverse campus in a pleasant, convivial location. We're close enough to Dublin, but not in the middle of Dublin. We've got excellent amenities and a growing campus, indeed a new building due to open very soon. One of the key advantages of studying at Maynooth is the flexibility. There are lots of different options, allowing students to combine the study of law or criminology, for instance, with multiple other disciplines. We'll see a little bit more about that in a moment. In addition to top-class academics, we have dedicated and friendly support staff in the area of careers, counselling, access, and academic and programme advisory. So there's a wonderful network of both technical and support staff and administrative support staff, as well as academics, who I think make for a very supportive environment. We have active sporting clubs and societies. So certainly, most of the students I talk to enjoy being at Maynooth as well. Although, as I say, in more recent years, we have been online, but we're back on campus again as of last semester. Maynooth is closer than you think, as you can see there from this network, if you like, of this transport network. There are lots of different ways of getting to Maynooth. We're quite well connected, so there are lots of different transport options, and well worth looking at our transport guide if you're not sure about how to get to Maynooth. In relation to law and criminology, there are lots of different options. And again, it's important to emphasize the flexibility that Maynooth offers. You can do law on its own as a single major, 4 years of just law, and the LLB Bachelor of Laws. But more often than not, students actually tend to study law along with other subjects. So, for instance, on the BCL Law and Arts, you can study law with Irish, law with sociology, law with politics or history. On the BCL Law and Business, you do 50% law, 50% business. The BCL Law and Accounting is the same. So you can combine the study of law with the study of business in equal measure. One of our most popular degrees is the BCL Law and Criminology, where we combine the two subjects in our department. The single major law is 4 years. The BCL programs, which are more or less 50-50 law and something else, generally speaking, are 3 years. You can also study law as part of an arts degree. So you can actually start an arts degree. If you're not sure, either you're not sure that you want to study law, or you're not sure that you're going to get the points for law, the BA is a good option for studying either law or criminology. And I'll talk a little bit about transfer options in a moment. Now, we do, again, I don't want to go into these in too much detail, but we have a number of different degrees. MH501, the LLB, is what's sometimes called pure law, a single major in law over 4 years. It's King's Inns recognised, so it's an approved law degree for the purpose of taking the entrance exams to become a barrister. It also covers all of the subjects that you need for the entrance exams for the Law Society as well. And so it includes a diverse range of core and optional law modules, including significant skills-based law modules like dispute resolution, professional innovation, and moot court. The BCL is law and something else. So, for instance, the BCL Law and Business is law and business. So you do law and you do business in equal measure. And so it allows you to develop business acumen within a legal context. But it's possible to combine law on the BCL with a variety of other subjects, allowing you to foster a broad skill set and I suppose from a career point of view, to keep your options open. You can also study both law and criminology as part of the arts degree, and there's considerable flexibility there. There are certain subjects that you cannot combine with law purely for timetabling reasons. For instance, law cannot be combined with geography, philosophy, or German, and criminology cannot be combined with business, Greek, or history. But otherwise, there's a huge amount of flexibility on the arts degree in terms of the combinations. So you can do up to 4 subjects in year 1, including law or criminology, or indeed both law and criminology can be studied together on the arts degree as well. And one of the advantages of doing law on the arts degree is that you have various transfer options. If you do law, if you do at least 15 credits of law in year 1, and you pass law and you pass year 1, you may be able to transfer to year 2 of one of the designated law degrees. So the easiest is usually onto the LLB Bachelor of Laws, but you can also transfer onto the BCL Law and Arts or the BCL Law and Criminology. So if you do law and you do criminology in year 1 and you pass law and you pass criminology, at least 15 credits of each, you can transfer to the BCL Law and Criminology in year 2. You can also transfer to the BCL Law and Business or the BCL Law and Accounting. Now here there are very specific requirements, and there was a question there in the Q&A about the BCL Law and Business. So if you're in year 1 of the BA and you want to transfer to year 2 of the BCL Law and Business, you must do 30 credits of law and 30 credits of business in year 1. And the same for the BCL Law and Accounting. If you want to transfer from the BA to the BCL Law and Accounting, you must take 30 credits of law and 30 credits of accounting in year 1. And in particular with accounting, you must get an average of 60% in accounting. For every other transfer option, 40% is sufficient, but for accounting, you must get 60%. So there are lots of different ways of getting from the BA onto the BCL and the LLB. Usually, once you meet the requirements, you will be offered the option, and there's no cap on numbers, for instance. So there's a lot of flexibility in the system. In particular, many of our students will start in the BA and then transfer to the LLB or transfer to the BCL Law and Criminology or Law and Business. Again, it's just important to make sure that you cover the right subjects in year 1, and we advise students quite carefully about what they need to do in order to meet the transfer requirements. But there are lots of different transfer options there. Law gives you lots of different career opportunities. It's important to note that studying law doesn't mean that you have to become a legal professional. And indeed, you don't actually have to do a law degree to become a legal professional. Clearly, having a law degree is a very good grounding to progress to become a barrister or solicitor. But I'd say that a significant number of people who study law don't end up as legal professionals. They do lots of other things. Law is a very good grounding, and criminology is a very good grounding for a variety of careers in both the public and the private sector. As part of the law and criminology degrees, you have various options. For instance, there are placement options in year 3 of the LLB, and it's between years 2 and 3 of the BCL. You can take a placement, although entry is quite competitive for the placement. We also have between years 2 and 3 on the BCL, and in year 3 of the LLB, you can do a study abroad year or an Erasmus year at universities throughout the European Union, the US and Australia. And we have a good network of Erasmus options there. The same actually for the BA and the same for business as well. As a department, we're now, I think, the largest department, both in terms of staff and in terms of student numbers, the largest law and criminology department in the States. We've grown very considerably over the past 10 years. We have a large number of staff. We've been very successful, in particular, in attracting funding and in research and teaching. We offer lectures and tutorials, in particular small group tutorials, and there are extensive postgraduate opportunities as well. But it's not all work and no play. We have a number of different societies: the Law Society, the Criminology Society, There's a literary and debating society. We have moot court competitions, negotiation competitions. So our student societies are very active in their professional activities, as well as, I suppose, their social activities as well. For instance, we have an annual law ball and an annual criminology ball, although they've been suspended during the pandemic, but hopefully we'll get back to a point where we can all celebrate in person at a later stage, at some point. So if you have any more if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the Q&A. Remember, of course, our website, maynoothuniversity.ie/law for law. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at MaynoothLaw, or email us if you have any questions at law@mu.ie. So thank you very much for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions that people might have.
Hi, how are you? Thank you very much for all of that. I know it's a huge amount of information on both subject areas for everyone to take on. There's a couple of different questions have come in, so if it's okay, I'll actually read out one or two of them. So firstly, in terms of the law, are there progression routes into the law program MH501? Are they competitive? Or is it a matter of obtaining the 30 credits and meeting requirements? So I suppose wondering if you do meet the requirements, are you going to get your place? I suppose is a fair way to answer the question.
That's a really good question, and I thank you for that question. Once you meet the requirements for progression, for transfer, you will be offered a transfer option. So if you do, let's say, 15 credits of law in year one, and you pass those 15 credits and you pass year one, even if you just about pass it, you're eligible to progress and to transfer onto the LLB. So it's not competitive. There's no cap on numbers. Once people meet the requirements, they will be offered the option to transfer. And that might sound chaotic, but it actually works out quite well, and it works out relatively smoothly every year. We have a fairly good handle on the numbers, and we usually are fairly good at predicting numbers from year to year. So not everybody decides to transfer. So some people will do law in first year and decide it's not for them, and that's perfectly okay. The only, I suppose, caveat is the BCL law in accounting, you must get an average of 60% in accounting in order to transfer. So that's one area where it is slightly more challenging. So the BCL law in accounting, you must do 30 credits of law in year one, you must do 30 credits of accounting, and you must get an average of 60% in accounting. But I think that's because accounting is marked in a different manner from other modules, that it's marked on a wider scale, I think. Not that it's easier, just that it's marked on a different scale. So the simple answer is there's no cap. Once you meet the requirements, you will be allowed to transfer.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, because I know certainly from being in schools myself that this is a very common question, because students, it's a great opportunity for a lot of students as well. And certainly at this time of the CAO, it is something that people do like to, find out about alternative routes maybe that might be of interest. There is a question kind of relating to the entrepreneurship degree, but also I think kind of modules that might be available to study. So it is a little bit long, so bear with me.
No, I've read through it.
Oh, you've had it? Okay, yeah, you've seen it. So it's in relation
thanks
to
for your question. We have an entrepreneurship degree in H411. We don't have an equine business undergraduate degree anymore. We used to have one, but we don't have one anymore. But what we do have is that for any student in university, from next year, we're going to be offering electives in the equine business to any student in university on any degree for whom electives are available. So that includes LLB students, for example, who might have interest in the industry, or any business student who would have an option to do so. So we're offering a 10 credit university elective in equine business. So there would be equine business modules specifically on that industry, and that will be available to students to study as an option in year 2. And I think that's where we're at. We don't have an undergraduate pure degree in equine business anymore.
Perfect, thank you for that. There was another question asking what the difference is between the BCL and the LLB award.
Again, it's actually another very good question. I mean, the LLB, I suppose, the key point of the LLB is if you start in the LLB, it's just law for 4 years. You do all the core topics or subjects of law that you need for King's Inns, for the Law Society of Ireland, but you also have a range of options in law, particularly in 4th year. You've got a wide variety of options in advanced topics of law, such as contemporary issues in law and medicine, or the history of empires and the law, legal history, biotechnology and the law, gender sexuality and law, financial regulation. So you have a lot more choice in the LLB than you do on the BCL. On the LLB as well, you do more skills-based modules. So there are things like professional innovation, dispute resolution, negotiation. With the BCL, because you're doing less law and you're doing it over a shorter time, 3 years instead of 4 years, the focus very much is on the core topics of law. So with the BCL, you're not doing as much law, but you are doing enough law to cover you for King's Inns, for the barrister's training, and for the entrance exams for the Law Society. Well, the BCL is enough law. The LLB is just lots of law in a sense. With the BCL, the advantage is you get to combine law with something else. So you keep your options open, whereas if you're doing the LLB, you're kind of pretty much locking yourself into law, although it doesn't prevent you from doing lots of other things when you graduate. But if you want to do the LLB, I'd suggest that it's important that you're quite sure that you want to do law for 4 years. With the BCL, you get to keep your options open, and you get to combine law with another discipline. I think particular law and languages, law in Irish, for instance, or law in French, would be a good combination. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Absolutely, yeah, no, it does. That's brilliant. There is actually a question coming in now that I might type just a quick answer to. It's more about deferring courses and coming back, so I may answer that. But there was something earlier that caught my eye. I obviously, again, being out in schools, get a couple of questions about this. And again, the third language requirement is always a question that's asked. So I suppose it's relevant to both of your areas. And so if I don't know if one of you want to take it, or
yeah, no problem. So typically for most universities, like everybody else, we require English, Irish, mathematics, and a third language. However, for business and law programs that are denominated entry, so most of the codes we're talking about, we don't require a language. Interestingly, but for our arts degree, because languages are in the arts degree, we do require a language for that one. And that's a language other than English or Irish. Obviously, if you have an exemption, then that doesn't apply to you. But in general, you would, for business and law programs and finance and accounting programs, you don't actually need a language for those. It's a question there on double law and business versus business and law. Yeah. So one is a BCL, the other is a BA. I think that's the main difference, and that is professional recognition. I'll leave that one to Fergus. I think he'd be better placed to answer.
So, I mean, if you do 30 credits of law and 30 credits of business each year on the arts degree, you're effectively, I think, doing the same as you would on a BCL, the same subjects or the same modules as on a BCL law and business. With the BCL law and business, the main advantage, and probably the only advantage, is that you have King's Inns recognition. The BCL law and business is a King's Inns approved degree. Now, that doesn't mean it's any better than a BA. And, you know, from a purely from a qualitative point of view, from a quality point of view, there's no difference. You're studying exactly the same modules in the same institution. The difference is that with an approved law degree, it's easier to become a barrister. You can go straight on, once you've got your BCL law and business, you can go straight into the entrance exams. You can start the entrance exams for the King's Inns directly after finishing your BCL. Whereas if you do double law and business on the BA, you won't be able to do that. You'll have to do a 2-year diploma in legal studies before you can do the entrance exams to become a barrister. So the main difference really is if you want to become a barrister, it makes more sense to transfer onto the BCL law and business. Otherwise, from a quality point of view, there is no difference. You are doing exactly the same modules. One of the advantages, I suppose, if you wanted to stay on the BA, is you can do a major minor. You can do a major in business and a minor in law on the BA, which you can't do on the BCL. So if you want to focus more on business than law, staying on the BA is probably preferable. But we would advise most people, if they want to do if particularly if they're doing 30 credits, they want to do 30 credits or more of law in years 2 or 3, we advise them to transfer to the BCL, purely because it will give you an advantage if you eventually decide to become a barrister. Yeah. I see there's a question there. If you take law, can you still become a guard, or do you have to go towards becoming a solicitor? It's a good question. You know, if you do a law degree, you don't have to become a solicitor or a barrister. Lots of people do a law degree and don't ever become legal professionals. By the same token, you can become a solicitor or a barrister without having a law degree. It's a little bit more difficult, it takes a little bit longer, but you don't need to have a recognised degree. You can, if you do law or criminology, you can become a guard, but I think you have to do the training in Templemore. And if you really are set on becoming a guard, it might, well, certainly the Gardaí, I think they like to have people with degrees, with law degrees, with criminology degrees, but I think you would have to do the training in Templemore and potentially a BA in policing studies, I think, or something like that, to become a Garda. But certainly doing a law degree or criminology is a good basis for becoming a guard, but it wouldn't be enough on its own.
Yeah, that's absolutely perfect. So yeah, I think that's most of the questions answered there, and I know that we will be doing another session at 8 o'clock. So I think if there's nothing else coming in at the moment, I will just say thank you to my colleagues, and thank you to everyone for joining us, and hopefully you had some good information, and obviously hope you can log on to some other items you might find of interest at 8 p.m. and best of luck with everything.
Thanks everybody for all your attention and for all the questions. Hopefully we'll see you on campus in the next coming months. And I think we have a couple of open days coming up, Laura, later on in the year.
Yeah, we have spring and June open days, yeah.
Which we're hoping to have on campus, which would be fantastic to see you there if you're still making decisions about the
thanks again to everyone. There is somebody there with a hand up. I'm not sure if that's just there's an attendee with a hand up. I'm not sure if you had a question. Oh no, it's gone.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, I didn't see that there. I think it might be gone. If there was something there that someone did want to ask, you're going to put your hand up again. Sorry, I missed that there.
I don't think it's possible the way it's set up.
Okay, and again, I suppose I'll absolutely do get in touch with us if people do have any follow-up questions, obviously to both the departments and ourselves as the admissions office, always happy to answer questions, so please do get in touch for that. Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, bye now.
Thanks everybody.
Bye-bye.